Sensationally silver, because you are.
Welcome, everyone, to Sensationally Silver, A State of Mind. Conversations with extraordinary, ordinary persons of age. People who are going to bring you information, inspiration, and validation. Join us. Welcome, everybody, to Sensationally Silver, A State of Mind. Conversations with extraordinary, ordinary persons of age. My guest today is Marsha Cowen, and she's going to be talking to us, well, about lots of things, but her big specialty is quilting. And I know that's becoming more and more popular. It's kind of having this resurgence. I was speaking to a young woman yesterday, and she said, lots of my friends are doing quilting. So I kind of think it's just my age, but I guess not. And Marcia's going to tell us all about that. Marcia, welcome. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Robin. I really appreciate the opportunity to pop on here and chat with some of your people.
Yeah, and tell us all about quilting. But first, Marcia, I want you to tell us your story about your beautiful gray hair because you started to tell me before we were on the air, and I wanted to save it for me and everybody at the same time.
Okay. Well, so as I said, I started going gray relatively early. And I had brown hair, and then this little patch that's right here in the front turned gray. And, I think I was like, I don't know, probably mid to early mid 30s, I would say. And I just didn't think, having gray hair was cool. And so I colored my hair for a long time. And then finally one day I just decided, you know what, I'm kind of over this. And I stopped. And it's really, there's two humorous things that I find about having gray hair. I have people who will tell me, and Miss Robin, you have to have this compliment all the time because your hair is gorgeous. But I have people say, "Oh, your gray hair is so beautiful," but gray hair on me makes me look so old, and I get that a lot, and it's kind of like, okay, well, all right, I don't know what that's really saying about me, but anyway. But I had this very odd thing happen to me one day at the grocery store, and I was going through the grocery store, and this much older gentleman, he was probably, I would say, in his 80s, and he's going, he's coming towards me, and I'm walking towards him. And he gets up beside me, and he looks at me and goes, "Who in the hell did your hair?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh." Well, my immediate comeback was, well, God did it because, you get the hair you get, right? And he was so funny because he sits there and he just goes, "Oh, oh," and he just took off down the aisle. And I have to tell you, it took me a while, and I'm going to say a couple years actually, because when that kind of stuff happens to you, it does come back around in your brain, right? I mean, you can't help it. And I thought, golly, well, it finally dawned on me that he didn't like my hair sticking up all over. I thought he was referring to the color of my hair. And so that has always been, God did this and I like it.
I don't know about you, Marcia, but nobody ever stopped me on the street and said, "Oh my God, I love your brown hair." But they do it all the time with my gray hair. And that's the deal. And the older part, I think gray hair it can be very aging. On the other hand, I care more about looking good than I care about looking young. And I look so much better with gray hair because it works with my skin, just like it works with yours. So,
Exactly.
yeah. All right.
I'm keeping it. Let me just say this. This is staying on here. I'm not going to get rid of it, and I'm definitely not going to color it. And no, I'm really proud of this. And I don't know about you, but I've worked hard to get this.
That's the way I feel. I've earned this hair and it shines and it makes me
Yes.
shine. And I'm very, very proud of it. By the way, everybody who's watching and seeing Marsha's beautiful hair, she's been using our products. We sent them.
Yes. Love it. Love it.
All right. So, Marcia, we have to start out with your age because you have to
Okay.
qualify to be on this show. So, how old are you?
Okay, I am 67 today, but on Saturday I turned 68.
All right. Well, happy birthday for Saturday.
Thank you.
You're old enough to be my guest. Good for you.
Okay.
All right. And let me just ask you a couple of questions about being the age you are. What's maybe the worst thing about being your age?
Um, I think the thing that is probably the hardest thing to deal with is the physical changes in your body. I've always been extremely active and just go 90 to nothing all the time. And the thing that I'm finding and that I find frustrating is the fact that maybe my joints don't want to work like they used to, or something that I used to do all the time that would cause me no grief at all. All of a sudden, there's muscles and stuff that are going, really, sister, sit down because I'm hurting. And for me, that's the thing that I find the most difficult
Yeah.
about aging. It
Yeah.
really, that's hard.
It is hard. It's hard to adjust back and let go of things that we've been able to do. What about the best thing about being the age you are right now?
I think the thing that I like best about this is that I know myself better. I'm not there yet, you know. I'm not there yet, but I'm finding that things that I don't want to do, I don't want to do them, and I'm allowed to say no. That's the other thing that I appreciate. I'm allowed to say no. Um, I don't want to do that, and to give myself that permission, because I think a lot of times we we let other people talk us into doing things that, because we want to make people happy or whatever. And I'm kind of getting over that. And for them to say, yay, it makes me very happy to be able to say that, I could tell you.
You know, I think almost everybody who answers that question for me talks about freedom. And what I'm hearing you say is the freedom to say no, the freedom to know yourself and be true to yourself. It's taken a long time for me to get to know myself, who I really am, what I really like, what I really don't want to do, just like you're saying. And there's a freedom in that that is
Yes, yes.
magical. Yeah. All right. We're going to talk about this subject that I know you know so much about. Now, this is going to maybe sound like a funny question, but Marcia, why quilting? Why? Why do people do it? Why do you do it? What's in it for somebody?
Truthfully, I think the thing is that it is a creative outlet. And I believe that everybody has a creative section in them. And for somebody, it may be writing or knitting or some kind of hands-on crafty thing. The reason that I enjoy doing it and the thing that it feeds my soul, and it allows me to play with color, because I can tell you I love, love, love color. I am not a vanilla type person. As you can see, I mean, the quilt behind me, color makes me feel really good. And the thing that I laugh when I say this, because people look at me and go, that's kind of interesting. Have you ever seen a color that you wish you could feel what it felt like to be that color?
Oh, yes.
You
Yes.
know, there's
Yeah.
there's just some, and you just look at it and you go, ooh, I wish I could feel what that feels like to be that color. And that for me it's the color and the creativity and being able to take bits and pieces of fabrics and put them together and see how beautiful they mesh together. And I think that that is one of the reasons why quilting is so popular, because a lot of people don't know this, but it's a $1 billion industry. It's a huge, huge industry. And we're thankful because we are getting younger women, which makes me very happy that you talked to somebody yesterday, Miss Robin, and said, oh, yeah, some of their friends are getting into it. From my standpoint, hooray, because it's really a nice way to express yourself, and uh, and it's very tactile. I mean, it feels good.
And there's a long, long history, isn't there, of
Yes, there is.
women especially coming together. Maybe, maybe it was their only time to get to sit down and be with other women and talk as they did something very worthwhile that was necessary for the family, something to keep everybody
Yes,
warm. So it was justified, but it was a social time too, a time to connect.
yes. And if I can chase that rabbit that you just brought up, um, my grandmother was an avid quilter, and when I was growing up, she lived in Missouri, and when we would go visit her, she lived on a farm for a long time, and that's where my mom grew up. She actually had her Ladies' Aid Society. So, these are the ladies that, during the wars and stuff would get together and make stuff. And so she would have these ladies over. I don't know how often they came, but they always had a potluck, and they always had a quilt that they were quilting as a group. So somebody would piece the quilt. That means they put it all together. And then the quilting is where you get the three layers. You get your backing, you get the batting that's in between that's puffy, and then your top, and you quilt that all together. And that's why they're called quilts, because they're stitched together. Those three layers are stitched together. Well, my grandma had in her farmhouse, she had a quilting frame that was this big wooden frame, and when it wasn't in use, it would go up into the ceiling. She would had it on ropes, and it, went up to the ceiling. So when I was a little kid, if we were there and the Ladies' Aid Society was there and they were quilting, I used to get to lay under those quilts and watch. And truthfully, all you saw was, of course, you saw the backside of the quilt, but you saw, a lady's hand underneath, and you'd see the needle go in and out. And it's just such a great memory for me, because, and I'm sorry, I get emotional because it makes me just really be, um, I'm richly blessed to do what I get to do. And I have that connection with my grandma. And I have, I think, five of her quilts that she made. They are stunningly beautiful. And the thing that I find really interesting is with two of the quilts that I received from her, she actually had a handwritten note inside the quilt, and it said that this quilt, she sheared the sheep from her farm, and then they carded it, so how they card wool, and then there was a company in Plattsburgh, Missouri, which is north of Kansas City. They would take their prepared wool to this company, and they would make them into quilt batting. And so not only was my grandma's top hand pieced, the wool that was inside it was also carded by her, but made into a batting by somebody else. So I really do have some really amazing pieces of history that are related to my family.
Really heirlooms,
Yes,
personal heirlooms. Wow. So I know that quilts can tell stories.
yes.
I know the Hawaiians mark very important dates and events with a quilt, something that
Mhm.
that depicts symbolically what went on. Um, Talk about that a little bit. Maybe your own personal quilts or the ones that people work on with you or whatever.
Okay. Well, I do know that historically speaking, that the Underground Railroad, the people who were on the Underground Railroad that allowed for the slaves to have a safe haven. A lot of times a quilt would be hung out, and there would be a certain pattern or something that was displayed. So those folks that were on the Underground Railroad would know to either stop here or go on. So I do know that that is one of the things, historically speaking, that people used. So, you know, everybody had quilts back then because, let's face it, they didn't run down to Walmart and buy a $15 comforter. They would. A lot of I had a couple of my grandma's quilts that were actually. I always liked laying under them and having grandma show me and say, well, this was your grandpa's shirt, and this was your mom's dress, and it was your Uncle Bob's whatever. But it was a necessity. They had to do this. And so there was no other way for them to help with their family to keep them warm unless they were weavers. So a very, very, quilting is a very historical craft, and one that was much needed for the home. For myself, yes, I have made a couple of quilts that were definitely geared for a special event in different people's lives, and not only that, but also for myself as well. I have to tell you, the one that's hanging behind me, that one right there, I it was really kind of funny how that quilt was in a magazine back in 2015, and 2015 was kind of a hard year. We lost my sister-in-law to leukemia, and then and that was in January, and in May we lost my mom to old age. And there's a magazine called Quilt Sampler Magazine, and what that does is they choose different shops from around the country, and then they come in and they photograph it, and you have to design a quilt for the magazine. Well, I had applied and I had received a letter, and they said, well, thank you very much for your interest. We're not going to use you right now, but we'll keep your application. Okay, great. So I always worked at home on Friday, and I was at home, and I received a phone call, and I get this phone call, and they say, first thing out of their mouth is, are you at home alone? Are you alone right now? And I thought, okay, this is weird and this is kinky. And so I said, I am alone, but who is this? And they said, oh, well, this is so-and-so from Meredith Publishing, the Quilt Sampler Magazine. And I said, yeah, right. And they said, oh, no, this is really us. And you've been selected to be in the Fall Winter Quilt Sampler Magazine 2015. And I said, sure. I said, I don't know who you are, but I don't think this is a funny joke. And they go, oh, no, we're not a joke. And I said, yeah, I think you are, and I don't think this is funny. And they said, I said, I received an email from you thanking me for my submission, but you're not going to use me right now. And so I don't know who this is, but this isn't funny. Well, I mean, this lady had to talk me into believing her. And so I finally did. And I had to design 3 quilts, and I had 2 weeks to get them designed, and I was not allowed to tell anybody. I couldn't tell my staff. I couldn't tell my family. Of course, I told my husband because, we're really like this, so I couldn't not say anything to him. And so I submitted my 3 designs. This quilt is called Slices of the Sun. And for me, this was a huge milestone. We had been in business. We started our quilt shop and sewing machine store in 2005. And this was 2015. So this was 10 years worth of work. And to actually be in a magazine, oh my word, I mean, that was so huge. So this for me is a milestone quilt. And that is why I decided to hang it behind me today. So
So
Yeah.
it commemorates this huge honor as well as the passing of a difficult time and all of that. I know quilts sometimes they're what wedding ring patterns and
Yes. Hmm.
they're patterns for when children are born and all that sort of thing. So lots of celebratory
Yes.
stitches in that creation, huh? Lots
Very,
of
very,
love.
very much so. And uh, what I've been doing, I write a weekly newsletter for our shop, and I have been writing about the different the different blocks that are kind of like the bedrock of quilting. You know, the Ohio Star, the Dresden plate or Dresden fan, the bear paw, and try and write about the significance of that block and the historical information about it. So I do. I've been working on that. So each week you get a little bit of different historical talk about it. So
So let me ask you this, Marcia, because I imagine there might be people watching and listening who think, well, I'd really like to quilt, but my hands don't work as well as they used to. Mine certainly don't. And I mean, doing that with a needle would not be real easy for me. Is there something that you can offer people who have lost some of that dexterity, but who might
mhm.
want to start? I imagine if you've already been doing it, you just find a way to keep doing it, right? You don't want to give that up. But what about if somebody's new to it and there's that impediment?
Okay, so I'm going to be real honest with you. They in 1976 is when quilting really began to have that resurgence because of our bicentennial. 1996. Oh, anyway, the 76, whatever it is. But more people, and I would say my industry that we're in right now, there is more stuff done on a sewing machine. There's very few people. They're out there. I personally, I started off as a hand piecer and a hand quilter. Um, but if I had to depend on my hand piecing and hand quilting skills, which are good, I would not have a sample at all in my store because it takes too long. So the quilting industry and the sewing machine industry have come together. And it is a beautiful marriage. That's all I have to tell you. The sewing machine companies have now created quarter-inch feet for your sewing machine because when you are quilting, you use a quarter-inch seam allowance. Not a 5/8 like you're a garment sewer or a half an inch. It's a quarter-inch seam allowance. And back in the 70s, sewing machine companies were not catering to quilters. They were for garments and some crafting. But the industry has changed so, I mean, it's mind-blowing, honestly. It really is mind-blowing. And so you do not have to do anything by hand unless that is something that is just feeds your soul. But sewing machines and quilting machines that help you do that, they're out there. Yes, ma'am.
So then what brings people together? I mean, I can't imagine they're all sitting there on their own sewing machine in the same room. Is that what happens? What
Well,
happens?
all right. So the first thing that I would say to any of your folks that are listening, I would say you go in your area, wherever you are, and you find a quilt shop. And you want a quilt shop where they're friendly and they're knowledgeable and that they have classes. And like for our shop, we have beginning quilting classes. So that somebody who is brand new to this, they come and they bring their sewing machine and we walk them through step by step everything that they need to do to create the project that that class is teaching them. Um, and I know that there are a lot of really great shops all over the country that can lead people in that craft. Uh, there's also really great tutorials that are out there on YouTube and private people that, they have their own, whether it's a YouTube channel or you can subscribe to their membership and learn. I'm actually doing one that is in fact, tonight is our one. I'm doing a mystery sew along on our Facebook page. And then I also have it on our YouTube. So I do a live, it'll be tonight at 4:00 Mountain Time. But I record a video that walks you through how to do that particular block. And that is on our YouTube page, our Be So Creative YouTube page. And so all you have to do is just Google and say, or especially like on YouTube, just Google on YouTube, beginning quilting. And it'll blow your mind, the amount of things that pop up for you.
Okay, so if people are looking for a craft, an interest, and friends, and a social circle, this provides all of it. What was the mystery about? You said a mystery.
Okay, so what my mystery is it's a full-size quilt, but they're getting one piece at a time. So 2 weeks ago, because it's every other week, 2 weeks ago they got I showed them how to make the first block. So we sewed that. And tonight they're going to get the second block. To receive the pattern. So you may have some people that are out there that are actually quilting or are quilters, and maybe they would like to join something like this. So we are asking people that if they are at all interested, then they would go to be so creative nm@gmail.com and tell us that they want to sign up for Marsha's mystery. And when they do that, they will be we will send them their fabric prep pages, and they will receive block number 1 pattern and block number 2. And that way, that can get them started. I talk about fabric, so I've got a whole little video on the fabric and, what colors you want to do and that kind of stuff. And then every other week, they can watch. If they can't watch the live, that's totally cool. We post the actual video class that I do is actually posted on my Be So Creative YouTube page. So,
If someone wants to quilt, there are lots and lots of resources. That's what
yes. And the other thing about going to a local shop, this is really one of the things that is really beautiful. You meet a group of women who have the same interest as you. So if you sign up for beginning quilting class, and maybe there's 8 people in the class, you're going to click with somebody. And if the teacher's really good and the shop offers, oh, hey, all right, you've taken this class, now let's step up and go and try this class. Then a lot of times those people that are in that beginning class will say, oh, are you going to go? Oh, yeah, I think I am. Oh, I think I'll sign up too. So then what happens is all of a sudden there's the community and there's the camaraderie. And I will tell you that when I first opened my shop in 2005, I had it was like a little sampler class, and every month you could come in and it was a community and they would make this quilt. We started our 20th year on October 17th, and I still have some of the original ladies from 2005 that are in that group. Mm-hmm. And the really beautiful thing is that they are dear friends. And we've had one woman, she was in the shop yesterday because we did a I'll go there in a minute. Anyway, she has gone through cancer twice. And those women that are in that group and in our store, our staff and everybody, Mary is such a special jewel. We adore her. And I will tell you that the community of quilters that are in my shop have taken very good care of Mary and encouraged her and checked on her. And, in the world that we live in today, some people you just want to be seen and know that you are cared for by somebody. And that to me is the real beauty of belonging to a group. There are quilt guilds out there, and they're great. They offer support and classes and all kinds of stuff to the members, and so that's always a nice place to start as well. So whether it's a local shop or look up local quilt guilds, I think there's many ways that people can get in there and find a community that they would enjoy being a part of.
So this is a very old skill that has a whole new life and meaning for the way
Yes,
life is today and the way we live today,
yes,
bringing us back together. That's really beautiful, Marcia. Thank you
it
so
is.
much.
And
So,
I'm fortunate I get to be a part of it. It's
yeah,
wonderful.
you get to do the thing you love. I always say that our best job in the world is the one we'd pay to be able to do. And when we get to do that, we are so blessed.
Oh
So
yeah, can't beat it.
let me ask you just a couple more questions.
Okay.
One is, what are you looking forward to next in your life?
Oh, I you know, everybody talks about retirement, and I'm let's face it, I'll get to where I won't be owning a quilt shop and a sewing machine store anymore. That'll be a possibility, but I just cannot see not being a part of this industry. So as much as I love doing video tutorials and how-tos, I can see myself continuing to do that. Um, my husband and I flip houses on the side for funsy, and so there may be some of those in our future. Uh, Definitely traveling, and I don't know. You never know, but I'm just going to say this. I often say that you're as bored as you want to be. You choose. If somebody says I'm bored, they're choosing to be bored because there's always something that you can find, right? I mean, that's how I look at it. I I will never be bored. I can always find something fun to do. And so who knows? Who knows what it'll be? I don't know. But all I know is that it'll be something that I enjoy doing.
It sounds like you have a great appetite for life and a great capacity for having fun and enjoying life on a daily basis. That's what I'm getting, Marcia.
Well, I try. We all
Yeah.
have our days. As
Oh,
I'm sure everybody that's listening goes, oh boy, do we have our days. Yes, we do. However, yeah,
okay. And the last thing is, what would you say to the viewers and the listeners out there, just kind of in general? What do you want to say to this group of people about life, about whatever? What's your message?
I think my message would be to just celebrate where you are because, um, like I said, we've all had things that have been hard and difficult, and we just like, oh my gosh, I can't even. Oh, this has been so difficult. However, we all need to celebrate the fact that we're here and we're still doing and we're still growing and we're still learning. And for myself, I celebrate that because I've had moments in my life where depression has hit and has been hard. And, you just want to curl up in a ball and, I jokingly say I want to climb under my desk at the shop, but I haven't. And that to me is worth celebrating. And I will tell you on occasion, and I really do this because I can't help myself, I do a happy dance. There's something good will happen, or I've made it through something, and I'll stand in my kitchen and I'll just dance around. Or on occasion, I'll grab one of the girls who has worked. We have a staff that we've had a long time, and something really good will happen at the store, and I'll say, "Oh, happy dance!" And when we grab hands and we dance around, just celebrate where you are because you're still standing. And I think for myself, I'm still standing, and that's a big reason to celebrate.
I love that. I love that. And I love the idea of the happy dance. Why not? Why not? Marcia, thank you so much for everything that you've brought to this program today.
Oh, thank you.
Everybody can look at the resources. There's ways to get involved. There's ways to meet other people. There's ways to
Yes.
come together. So thank you all for being here today.
Yes, thank you guys.
Marcia. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
so much. Bye, Robin. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Sensationally Silver, A State of Mind, is sponsored by Sensationally Silver, a complete hair care product line created especially for people with hair like ours, naturally gray and white hair. Sensationally Silver products can be found exclusively at sensationallysilver.com.
Sensationally silver, because you are.